YouTubers, it's Nurse J again at Nursing the Truth, and Halloween month, spooky stories and stuff like that. But usually I've been giving you a lot of, treats or tricks, however you want to take them. But I'm not going to give you a spooky thing this video. I'm going to give you a little bit of truth. So, how much do you know about the goddess Neith? Neith. And how much do you know about Deborah in the Bible? In the book of Judges. What if I told you that these writers stole the goddess Neith and put it on Deborah? So when you're reading your Bible in church, just put Neith where Deborah's name is and be happy. So many scholars believe that the Song of Deborah in Judges 5 may be one of the oldest, if not one of the oldest textual strands in the Bible. It has a geopolitical description of the Israelite tribes that numbers fewer than 12, and some of them are not among the 12 tribes that emerge in Genesis. At the minimum, it seems to reflect a time when the tribe of Dan was located on the Philistine coast rather than the northern edge of Israel as depicted in later traditions. He states that several years ago, I presented a paper at an Egypt conference entitled Neith and the Two Biblical Deborahs, which explored the possible connection between the Egyptian goddess Neith and Deborah the judge and Deborah the nurse of Rebecca. Now, Neith was an important Egyptian goddess who was prominent in the areas where the Bible places Israel prior to the Exodus. Now, the Bible makes two references of women named Deborah. One was the nurse to Abraham's son Isaac, and the other was, in much later period of Judges, a military leader referred to as a mother in Israel. Both seem to have mythic images, and both are identified with a particular tree of weeping. The Egyptian goddess Neith has a reputation as both a military figure and as a mother, goddess, and nurse. Characteristics that caused the Greeks to identify her with the goddess Athena. In Hebrew, Deborah means bee, B-E-E, and that symbol is closely identified with Neith. A temple to Neith was called House of the Bee, and the bee was the symbol of kingship in Lower Egypt. He went on to state that both Deborahs were mythological figures based on Hebrew recollections of the goddess Neith, the goddess who ruled in the area of Egypt where Israel dwelled in earlier times. In support of the argument, he said, I will draw upon some materials in Plutarch's account of the Osiris myth, which suggests that Neith may have been associated with a tree of weeping. Okay. Let's see what else. Now, also, there's some other comparisons. And you can look this up on Google, Wikipedia. This is information that you can readily get your fingertips on. Now, there is a hymn to Neith preserved at the Esna Temple. And I'm not going to read it because it's a little lengthy, but the elements of this hymn compared with the Song of Deborah, both Deborah and Neith talk about their role as a mother. Each talk about their actions lead to an increase in population. They find a rebellion of new gods battling against heaven. Both stories, the mother and her role as mother promise to intervene in the fighting. And in both stories, the mother fights on the side of the chief deity. In both stories, there is talk about the enemy being struck down. And in both stories, the sides representing the chief deity wins. One of the features of Neith's worship, according to Herodotus, was a great festival known as the Feast of Lamps. During which her devotees, all through the night, kept numerous lights burning. So we have Neith, who was worshipped at the house of the bee with the festival of torches, and Deborah, the bee, who was married to torches. Coincidence? Perhaps, but certainly very suggestive to a close mythology relationship. They also have connections as judges. In the New Kingdom story known as the Contendings of Horus and Set, Neith appears twice in a judiciary role. In the story, Set and Horus for the right to succeed of Cyrus as king of Egypt. Early in the story, we are told that the struggle has been going on for 80 years, but the dispute was unresolved. The gods then implored Thoth to send a letter to Neith, asking for guidance on how to dissolve the dispute. And Neith replied that the office should go to Horus, and then adds that if the gods don't award judgment to Horus, I shall become so furious that the sky will torch the ground. This sounds very much like a description of lightning, an interesting phase, considering that Deborah's general, the enforcer of her will, is named Lightning. Later in the story of the Contendings, Neith is once again called to make a decision. Let's see what else we can find. Well, I think that's about all I'm going to talk about today on that subject. So, as we said all along, every time I turn around, I find something. Egypt, Kemet. People stole to make their story. Truth, fiction, trick or treat, you decide. So as I am sticking to my story, the goddess Neith, the judge and jury, is Deborah of the Bible. Until then, when you search for the truth and you find the truth, let the truth set you free. Hotep and Ashe, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.